Hey you guys, welcome back to Southern Latitudes. I'm Robin, and today I'm going to answer your questions. At least I think most all of them. And a couple other things that I've seen in comments that really weren't worded as questions, but might need to be addressed. So anyhow, the sun just popped. We've had this beautiful cloudy morning, and the sun pops out literally as I hit play on the camera, the GoPro. So anyhow, let's get at it. And I have purposely faced my angle this way for question number 1. And that was by Plumeria Cottage. So this is Sandy. I sort of know her more on the internet versus in person. But anyhow, Plumeria Cottage, Sandy, her question is, you have lots of space, yet sometimes you mention not having room. Is there a reason why you can't expand the garden or food forest out into the grassy middle? And as you can see behind me, I do have quite a bit of space in the middle of my yard. And there is a huge reason for that. And I might have explained it once or twice, but I really, I think this is a great place to put it actually. So the reason why I don't expand into this grassy section, let me take you there. Let me just show, in case people don't know, we have a lot of new subscribers. So this whole section is what Sandy is talking about. Why do I not develop this? And these are the reason why I do not develop this, because they are so stinking tall. And I do still, if you were with me through the summer and the whole debacle with the trees, all 8 of those were supposed to come out. We only had the one center one come out, and this other one right here trimmed up, and it was supposed to come out on the same day, and my tree guys left in the middle of the job. And it was a sore thing, sore topic, and plus we were having a lot of lightning and storms, so I decided to stop. We had some things to address with the AC unit and the mold, and get all that fixed, and stuff. We had stuff more important than trees, so we addressed all that. And I wanted to get through Christmas, which we're not done with Christmas, but I'm done with all the purchasing and stuff like that. And we had our Christmas last Friday, so that was great, went off great. My son's happily in Canada with his girlfriend and her family, and anyhow, so now perhaps in the new year I may start readdressing these trees, and or at least this tree. And I am really concerned about this little spindly one. Jack is also with this one, so I mean 2 to 3 trees potentially still need to be addressed, hopefully in the next 6 months, 12 months. And so I'm gonna need really big work trucks in here, so we don't develop any of the space here just strictly because I need things that can, we have 11 12-foot gates, and these trucks require big gates to get through, and they have big boom arms, and they need to have, I hope I'm describing it right, beyond where their tires are, they put these big crawling arms out, sort of like spiders, and they hold balance for the big trucks. So that's why we've never done that. Once we get these pines out of here, I can, well, probably not. I still don't know about the super 2 big ones. I still kind of like those, but we have to address. This one might have termites in it. I have seen termites come out of the bottom a couple of years ago, so I'm going to be watching that this January and February to see if that happens again. And these little spindly ones, once that happens, I can maybe start planting some of these things that are buckets, or I can start filling in this area back here. Also, I was having dump trucks come through with the mushroom compost. So that's the long answer. They were dumping back here in the corner, which now has the little white peach and the star fruit in it. So that's the long and the short of it. Plus, we're getting the shed out of here, hopefully January, February. Jack's been working other He's been doing side work all through December. But once that is over, we're going to start working on this shed. And I need to be able to get, stuff in here, equipment. So we can't plant until we have our foundation kind of fixed in, the way we want it before we add more trees to the interior of the property. Sandy also asked about my Black-eyed Susan vine, and so it runs, well, I started it here on the cattle panel. It ran up, but then it also ended up running across. It's everywhere. So I don't know that I've ever seen seeds on it. I did not buy it as a seed. I bought it as a little cup, a little starter plant, I think $4 or $5 up at Rockledge Gardens. And man, if you want to make a trip up to me, I suppose we can try to do some propagation, like seed starter. I guess I could try that on my own first. But I mean, this thing definitely takes off. It's a tiny bit invasive. So if anybody's thinking about that, just be prepared. It's not something to take lightly. I don't know if you can see in there. No, I don't see seeds. I don't see, and I never have seen seeds. So that's pretty interesting. Must propagate by cuttings, and I had a little cutting way back over there. I'm not sure how that happened, but I did have it. And I may start some cuttings just for other people. And I'd be happy to share with you one. But if you want one like immediately, I think you can check out Rockledge Gardens in Rockledge. And I think you're close to that. Or check your local nursery if you're not close to Rockledge. The next question is from a subscriber, Brenda Shank. Hope I'm saying your last name right. I live on Space Coast here in Florida, but originally from North Carolina. What is the best time to start tomato seeds for early spring, and when is the best time to plant them? And she also does container gardening. And okay, for spring, and I will be starting them soon, and I'll put it on the channel, so watch for that. But you can start today, but be prepared that if you start like in December, to get an early jump on it, because I mean, you're Space Coast, I am too. So I have been known to start in December and then throw everything in the house and get through the month of January. And then I would say, depending if you're South County, we have a really long county. So if you're South County, you can probably throw them out February 1st. That's our last frost date. If you don't, other people, if you don't know your frost dates, like your first frost date and last frost date, look it up, because a lot of your decision making will be based upon those two things. So mine is February 1st is my last frost date. My first frost date is December 31st or January 1st, something like that. But we have been known to have one of those Arctic things come down. Years ago, I remember when I first started in this yard, and we had a little tomato garden and all that behind my one bay window area back there. And we had a February freeze or near freeze. So I like to say, if you're starting from seeds, direct sowing into your containers, you could probably start the first or second week of February, and then just let them grow up there. Because they're seeds, they're going to be underground. You might want to throw a blanket over it, maybe if it goes really below 32. But if you're starting in trays, which I do a lot of the time, I will start usually around the first week of January, whenever my, Christmas is kind of settled down, New Year's is settled down. I start in a tray, protect that tray for a good month, the 6 weeks, and then I throw them out here. Now, these were all started in July for fall planting, and I don't remember, I think they came out here like in September, but if not, you can always wait, give an extra month, because it could be hurricanes. That is always so variable for fall because of hurricane season and what it looks like, and it's a guess and a crapshoot. I'm sorry for the language, but nobody knows what the weather is going to do. And so these came out, and I have some red tomatoes today that need picking. You know, sometimes you can get tomatoes as soon as Thanksgiving. These are going to be Christmas tomatoes. That's for fall. But anyhow, you were asking specifically for spring. So start your seeds anytime between now and the first week or two of January, but protect them. Keep them inside, or keep them if you're doing it in a tray. And if not, direct sow, put it off till like the middle of February or so. Give or take, depending, you're North County, you could like have more freezes than South County. So it's a guessing game, but that's my best answer to you. Okay, next. All right, K-Zinc asked me this question, and I've been asked it before. How do you manage the whitefly issue in your peppers? I've struggled with them, and even though I think I have them under control, for now, LOL, I need a better way to manage it when the weather warms back up. Did you use anything on your plants, or is it under control now because you're blessed with plentiful, beneficial insects? Okay, well, she's figured out the secret to a lot of my success out here in the garden. Beneficial insects are super important to all your gardening, not just peppers. And so I have worked really hard to incorporate flowers between vegetables or flowers on the edges. I've been in this yard 17 years, so yeah, 17 and a half years. And so I've worked on this. In the beginning, I wasn't quite so successful with eradicating bugs, and I tried all sorts of things I would never recommend now, like 7 dust, even DE, but I don't even recommend that now because it's not selective in only the bad bugs, it also kills the good bugs. So I just learned to live with loss. Now, back to the whitefly issue. So whiteflies happen when it is hot and when it is dry. And so after we have hurricanes, sometimes we go through these long periods of dryness, or we just happen to go from wet season to dry season. So it's very normal to have whitefly issues in Florida in October and November. Okay, with that said, and I think so, it was in the videos, I was able to come through here. I was showing you guys blooms, and I go like this, and you'd see whiteflies just going everywhere off of my pepper plants. Well, I did nothing because I knew cold was coming, and we did have a really nice cold snap. And it, boom, I have a great picture of it, and I will post it up over myself right here. I walked out one morning, and I just was doing my morning routine with chickens and feeding them and just looking over the garden. And I saw white, like, I don't know what you call them, like plumes under, white dusting under there. And I knew it hadn't snowed. And it was all the white flies dying off. And so if you have a whitefly issue, just know that they will disappear when your temperatures will go to about 40 degrees, and it seems to kill them. You don't even have to go to freezing, just it's like 40 degrees is the magic death number for whiteflies. So that was all. I don't even know that we went completely to 40. Might have been like 44. It wasn't even that far down to 40. So anyhow, we had got rid of all the whiteflies without any pesticides, chemicals, nothing. You can totally pick one of these peppers off the plants, eat them, no chemicals at all. And I have to do that for me, for, you know, I have all sorts of autoimmune issues. Buddy comes out here and occasionally snags some food. I have grandbabies that come out and snag food. I give food away sometimes, and you know, I don't want any chemicals in there. Plus, again, back to the beneficial insects, I don't want to do anything that might harm them. And if they even suspect that you have chemicals on your plants, they could take off and write off your whole yard, which will leave you with more negatives than positives. All right, so that's the answer to that question. And I had another question about peppers too. So I hope I'm not saying these people's names wrong, but Miguel Llewellyn is what I see here on the comments area. Robin, can you talk about how many pepper plants we should be planting? I planted 4 jalapeno plants and maybe got 15 jalapenos. Okay. My family of 5 loves jalapenos. We do too. And it just, is it just because I'm a beginner that I didn't get so much peppers, or peppers are not that productive? And when do they stop producing for winter? Okay, let me try to remember all those things. So, I have, a cheat sheet. No, it's not because you're a beginner that you didn't do well. Peppers are not normally heavy feeders, but I have found an increase in production this year as I moved to fish emulsion fertilizer on a weekly basis, and I do it as a foliar spray. And let's get that bottle. Okay, so I did a quick break to get, I use this organic Neptune's Neptune's Harvest hydrolyzed fish and seaweed fertilizer, and it's a 2-3-1, and I do about 1 ounce, or usually about 1 ounce per gallon in the sprayer bottle, and I put it on. I try to do it once a week. Now I've been a little slack as I got busy through the Christmas holidays, but it is definitely increasing the blooms, which is going to increase my fruit production. And so actually I've been trying to treat most all the vegetables in the yard with that, and flowers too. And you can also put it in the ground, which is really nice. If you think, don't spray it in the heat of the day. Sometimes we have really nice 70 and 80 degree days, and you definitely don't want to spray in the heat, because it could actually maybe leave some burn on the leaves. But overall, I'm really happy it's increased the production. And also work on the nutrition in your soil. Add a little compost to it, mushroom, cow, whatever you choose. And if you can't do that, at least buy yourself a little bag of either bone meal that works on blooms, or like a general 666 or 10-10-10 fertilizer, and just kind of put it around the plant. You can also do blood meal, but that works more on the greens, like the leaves, which is okay. But if you want more production in the blooms, you'll want to increase the middle number, the NPK. The P is potassium, and so that's in your bone meal. Now, to the number of peppers. Okay, so I got this from Garden Gate magazine, and I will put the link in the description box below. But they recommend 1 to 3 peppers per person, or if you have a family of 4, I think you said you had a family of 5, you go anywhere from 1 to 12. Since you like peppers, probably higher on that number. I do about a foot apart here. You can do more if you have bigger bushes, but jalapenos, I've had some jalapenos, actually right where I'm standing, I had a jalapeno tree. It was like over 5 feet tall, and it lasted 3 years right here in the spot. But I used to also put fish guts and fish heads and stuff like that in this, what used to be a garden here years ago. So if you have access to fish, always put fish in your garden too. So hot peppers are more prolific, so you need less of them. And then large peppers like bell peppers, you're going to need 2 or 3 plants per person. And I have found that to be true. They just take longer, especially winter. Oh, y'all, it's like a slow crawl out here. But as soon as we start, what are we, like a week away from our daylight length increasing? The shortest day is around the 21st, and so the 22nd we start increasing a couple minutes every day. And you watch your gardens, they will start exploding. So that's another reason, like back to the tomato question, you may want to go ahead and, sometimes I feel ambitious in wanting to start tomatoes sooner. So boy, as soon as those daylights increase, you can get some good production. Now, I already have a lot of my gardens at full capacity or near full. So I don't know, like I'm so torn inside between, I definitely want to get jump ahead on my tomatoes, but where am I going to put them? So anyhow, because we need more tomato sauce and pizza sauce and all that stuff in the house. So I think I've gone through all of that that was on my card to answer your question. I hope that helped. So Sandy, also from Plumeria Garden, or Cottage Garden, she asked multiple questions, which is fine. And I've been asked this before, so I thought it was really good. I should answer. I've answered it in the comments, but never, I think, in a video. So she asked, why is my green stalk never assembled? And that's true. So there's a couple things. One, it just works really good here as a little quick kitchen garden for herbs. I've used it mostly for herbs in the past. Now I have it kind of filled with flowers this year, and mints. I have a lot of mint in here. Yeah, mostly flowers. But here's the thing is, okay, so I bought the green stalk, and it has little caster wheels on it, and I assembled it, and I put it over here in house. There's a little corner thing. I went through a whole video where I was loading it with strawberries, but I had to make it level first, and my son helped me drop the big stones in to make it, just sit on there. And it, strawberries grow in winter where my lighting is way low over behind these trees up here, as you can see. And so it made it very difficult. It only got a couple hours of morning sun there, and I didn't like that. And so it was in the back corner, and the back side of this green stalk rarely got any sun, and the front got some okay. It was a little difficult to water because I'd have to drag a hose all the way through the garden. It wasn't working there. So then the next year I decided to put the green stalk on the end of my decking and stuff, and I thought, oh, okay, wood, I don't want that. So there was water stains, and I bought a swivel, sorry, is that what it's called? It's the disc, the spinner. That's what they call it on their website. I went right to Greenstock, bought their spinner. It was on like a Christmas or something sale. So I bought that, and I did the spinning, like quarter turn every day or every half a day. And but my concern was still that water was going to leak on the deck and leave a nasty stain. So I didn't like that either. And then it ended up out in the food forest the third year with strawberries, and it worked okay there. But then I got mad, and frost was coming, and I wanted to protect it, and it's hard to protect this big vertical thing. So I just pulled it apart, and I covered it with a blanket as it was pulled apart across the ground. Well, from then I realized, everything's growing so great because the soil's controlled, and it was just beautiful, and it wasn't being blocked on the backside. And from there I just never reassembled it, and it's been here for the last 2 years, so I've had it for a while. And it really grows well here. It gets a lot of morning sun, sometimes late in the afternoon sun in the summer. And it's just, I find it a great place. I remember to eat the vegetables or herbs from it. I remember to water it. It's enjoyable to look at from the pool when I'm swimming in there in the summer. And I don't know, it's nothing against green stalk. It's just not my thing to, when I have a to-do list, and I got to remember turn every day, and I can't release that from my brain. I don't think I deal with OCD, but certainly not on the inside of the house with house cleaning. But I mean, I clean for company, right? But I don't have OCD, and so I wouldn't think that's my problem, but I am not a procrastinator either. And so having to remember to turn that thing was just making me a little bit squirrely inside. It was just not worth that to me. It might be for you, and I see it all the time. Other people have it, and I'm like, oh, good for them. I mean, they love it, and it looks great. It's just not for me. All right, next question. So Sandy from Plumeria Cottage also asked me, what are some good perennial flowers for Central Florida that I would recommend? Okay, so I don't have a lot of experience, like I don't work in a nursery and have all that. I would say though, I am very impressed with the Ultrananthera, the Purple Prince, and it's in bloom right now. I'll show it to you. It doesn't have to be on irrigation. It takes the full heat up against the side of the house. It takes the freezing cold. I never cover it. And it has something purple. The leaves are purple, and which is a nice contrast to all the green we have in Florida. A lot of my flowers are annuals, you know, and so it's nice to have something that contrasts that and sets them off as a nice either backdrop or a companion plant. So that is one thing. I love the although it's not really perennial, but the cranberry hibiscus, or the Florida cranberry bush, that is also another red leaf plant. If you don't go to freezing, which might be your case, you know, they make a wonderful perennial or self-seeding annual. They can self-seed. I have a bunch self-seeded and blooming right now. The other thing that I think would be really good are the Rebecca and the Gaillardia. They do either self-seed or the Gaillardia, man, I don't know how long I've had that one, maybe 2 years, and it's doing great up in the front, and I do nothing to it. There's Rebecca, Black-eyed Susan, but there's also the Triloba that I have, which is a smaller bloom and is a climbing, so better vine for climbing. Those are nice, but that has to reseed, and I have no real full 12-month experience with the Black-eyed Susan plant, just the brown-eyed Susan Triloba. The Biden's Elba is really good if you want that, but once you have it, it's hard to eradicate it. But it's a good medicinal for your yard. Some people, if you have a lot of shade, you might be able to get away with impatiens. I have the polka dot plant, which isn't really a flower, but the polka dot plant really does excellent as far as going year round. Now, I don't think it's, because it's under the banana trees and oak, it hasn't been bit real hard by frost, but that and the Dusty Miller are like 2 years old over there, so those are really good. And the Dusty Miller provides a contrast in that leaf foliage, so those are really good. Now, oh, the Alamandas, yeah, those are so the vine, which is closely more in the Mandevilla family, and then the yellow Alamanda bush, I don't do anything to them except for I do cut them back about every year or every other year, and they keep those yellow blooms coming, which is fantastic. Passion vine, passion flower, if that's something you want, either with fruit, or you can get a hybrid like me and no fruit. So, you know, just know that they're semi-invasive. Well, I don't know. I'm just throwing that word out there. They do pop up babies anywhere within a 10-foot radius. So it's good, but it's I just mow over the babies or pull them. It's not that hard to control. It's not like the Biden's Elba or the Spanish needle, which is the same. Those are much more harder to control. Mexican sunflower is another great perennial flower, and so is the Turk's cap hibiscus. Neither one require any watering, and they seem to just thrive on neglect, and so, you know, soil doesn't have to be great or anything. So those are two more great perennial flowers. This Mexican sage is awesome because you don't do much but once a year pruning, and it puts out new blooms all by itself. I totally neglected this, and it probably needs amending and some more soil. Look, there's hardly any soil in there anymore, but it does its own thing, and I never do anything with it, and it's great for bringing in pollinators. The 4 o'clocks are fantastic for bringing in evening scent. They self-sow every year. These are the little seeds, and they just drop down below and replant themselves. And these are what the babies look like. And then there's their true leaves, and they just never stop going. So those are my favorite, you know, and hibiscus. I love hibiscus in the yard. I have a beautiful hibiscus up front. Lantana, but again, there's that argument on invasive or not. I have mine in a pot, so it can't be invasive. You know, so salvias, I like those. Just depends on if you get a freeze or not. Salvia can go down a little bit to cold, but probably not a hard freeze. So I hope that is a good list for you to start from. If I can think of any more, I'll pop it down below, but that's my initial thoughts on good perennial flowers for Central Florida. All right, if any of you watchers have other good suggestions, please put them in the comments down below for the other viewers to come along and see that, okay? Another question I had from Sandy from Plumeria Cottage was, what are some of my favorite YouTube channels? And I'm going to narrow that down to the gardening ones. And so I find my almost daily inspiration from Garden Answer. Laura is one of my favorite gardeners, and she's in Oregon, Ontario, Oregon, by the border by Boise, Idaho. So she's in a high desert situation, nothing like Florida, but I find her inspiring, even if some of our plants don't match up. And I've learned a lot about texture and about color. So one thing, her and her mom, she frequently puts her mom and sister on the channel. Her husband, Aaron, is a huge support, and he's on the channel, but he's also, they have a second backup channel, not a backup channel, but a second channel, Garden Answer Highlights, which answers all the questions, not all the questions, but key questions from the week's worth of videos. And that's also where she goes into detail. And I love that because she talks about having blues, reds, greens, and yellows in your yard to kind of create, you know, the canvas. Like, our garden is a canvas, and to me it is. I mean, it's food in production that way, but to me it also should be beautiful. If I'm going to be out here every day, you know, throwing food to chickens morning and night, and potting a dog, or you might have cats, dogs, whatever, even goats or sheep or something. But if you're out here, to me it's important to have beauty as well as just food. And that's why I also have plumeria. I have tons of flowers that, you know, never will bring me food. They do bring in the pollinators, and that's my excuse, but I love flowers too. So Garden Answer is my go-to channel for daily inspiration. And so there's two other channels I love for Floridian gardening, two other ladies I really love. So there is Jacqueline with Wild Floridian, and I love that she's expanding her knowledge. She has lots of lists of things, and she'll sometimes go to a nursery and she'll show you the different Florida natives or what brings in the butterflies. You know, she is so talented that way, and she has a garden planner book. So I love her channel, and I do watch probably nearly every single one of those videos. And although she doesn't post daily like Laura does, and then there's I hope I'm saying her name right, Patrina from Homegrown Florida. I hope I'm saying that right, because I'm doing it from memory. But and she's on vacation right now, but she still has content coming out. And well, both, and Jacqueline, both, they're more like Tampa, St. Petersburg, Bradenton, down that way. And so they had a lot more to do with hurricanes and cleanup and flooding and stuff. So anyhow, she has a suburban backyard. She gardens just around the edges of her quarter-acre lot, you know, and she has a pool and all. So I really like to glean information from them. Maybe, you know, I also know about how to plant something, but you're always going to get a nugget of wisdom and truth from other gardeners, no matter who they are. So find somebody more experienced than yourself, and, you know, or another co-gardener, and just, you know, have coffee, share some of your bounty, and it creates conversation. My friend Teresa doesn't have a channel, but I go to her house once in a while, and she came over here like last month or earlier this month, and, you know, she does great with flowers. So, you know, I shared a little bit of my extra plants, and she's going to share some impatiens with me or whatever. She's always a blessing to me. So those are my 3 go-to channels. The ones I love the Row by Row Garden show on Thursday nights, so I watch the Haas family there from Grow Haas, and then I watch some of Travis's Lazy Dog Farm. I watch Flomaton Famous. I watch David the Good. You know, although it is not always all the I don't have yams, and boy, I wish, but I could learn from him so much. And he's taught me a lot about composting and grocery row gardening and spacing. And he is also just a huge inspiration. And so those are 3 other channels. Let's see, Orlando Gardener. How can I forget? He is fantastic, and he is like the king of mangoes. And but you know, he goes to other places. He'll take you on a journey. He'll show you. He comes sometimes to Brevard County, Merritt Island. There's mango farms out there. You know, he's just a really pleasant, just nice person, and his whole family. And so he's a pleasure to watch. And Sulcata Grows, Truly Tropical. Those are some of the big commercial farms. I watch some of their stuff. Veggie Boys. Oh. So I started off with Veggie Boys long before they became popular, and it's just I think they've had like 7 generations of farmers on the same property, and there's at least 4 generations on the property at the time. I just love looking at their family unit and how well they work together. So please subscribe to Veggie Boys. I think they finally just made 200,000 subscribers, and they earned it, man. They put out 3 videos a week, and they have cattle, they have chickens, they have hundreds. It feels like hundreds of acres, every, you know, seed starting all the way to harvest and selling. So to me, it's just nice, relaxing videos. So I just love seeing families how they interact and get along so well. That to me is as important as the vegetables and the trees and so forth. So okay, let's get out of the sun. In one of my last videos, I showed myself up on a 6-foot ladder trying to get papayas from over the pool area and the fencing, which I was as careful as could be with lodging that ladder. Probably wasn't evident in the video because it was from a distance, but I wedged that ladder between the papaya and the fence, and so it was not going anywhere, and the ground was pretty stable. But one of you mentioned it was time to cut the papaya, and I 100% agree with you. That female is just way too tall. I had already, well, one of the males snapped, and then I had already cut the other male, so was equal. And you're right, the fruit is getting dangerously high, and so I do plan, I'm gonna probably very soon do a cutting back video, and so the papaya will be cut back in that video, as well as the bananas that I just had the racks taken off. Those need to be cut down. My turmeric needs to be cut. I've got all sorts of December pruning that needs to happen before the cold snap. And so that needs to happen like yesterday. So, but I thank you guys for the concern, and I totally 100% agree with you that safety is first. And I'm a lot of times out here alone, except for, you know who's always with me. Oh, there's my little seed carrier. You got seeds all over you. He had the zooms because it was nice this morning. But anyhow, yeah, I put this in a video before, a long time ago, maybe a year or 2 ago. Number 1 safety thing you can do in your yard is keep your phone on you, and I mean it, on you, because what if something happens and you are gardening alone like I am, and for the most part, even if I have family in the house, nobody would ever know or hear my voice, right? So keep a phone on you for safety's sake. It's just words of wisdom. I had a video out, like I said, and I got a comment earlier this year from a I think it was a lady, I don't recall. I have to go back there and relook at the comments section, but they took my words of advice and had their phone on them. They were on a ladder, fell, broke their, I think it was a femur, and was stuck out in the yard. And if it wasn't for that phone, I'm gonna say she would have been stuck there for hours without help. So smart thinking. She had the phone on her, you know, had to go have emergency surgery, but the phone saved her, you know, from more agony than what was already probably happening in her body. So you guys, with that, I know this is a long video. Maybe you can see it as a podcast, you know, listen to it while you're driving or working in your house. But I hope I thoroughly answered your questions and that it was to your satisfaction and you learned something. So you guys, with that said, take care, God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.